What's up, Switches?
I'm Jennifer.
I'm Cicero.
And this is the Switching Lanes podcast.
Today's topic.
Dear men, we have a right to say no.
You know, being single, dating has always been difficult. Being single has always been difficult for women.
It's a lot of work.
Mainly. Because you get the single shaming. You get the pity looks. You get the, you know that pity that, oh, poor you,
Absolutely.
You're single, you must be miserable. And, you get the, what else is it? You get the pity, you get the single shaming, you get the jealous looks. You get that you must be a homewrecker look. You get just all
a little bit of everything.
You get every bit of the spectrum when it comes down to being single. Even the disrespect from guys that you just may not be interested in, or you may be at a different place in your life. And then it's the rejection thing ain't even about being single. You may be in a relationship, and the rejection thing gets to be disrespectful.
Or maybe you just got out of a relationship and you're not ready to jump into something new yet.
Right. That whole concept of rejection begins to it gets disrespectful, and it can be overwhelming, and now it's become deadly.
That's very true. Maybe a little over 2 weeks ago, we had a young lady in the news where a student in Chicago where she was raped and murdered after rejecting a man's catcalls. And I really want to paint a picture for you. This particular night, she's walking alone. Well, a woman wants to stop and talk to somebody. She's walking alone on the street. She's walking alone. She's trying to get to her car. She just wants to go home. Maybe it's been a long day, whatever. And
she just left a meeting.
Right. She's walking to her car, and this man sees her, and he likes what he sees. So, of course, he tries to talk to her, tries to get her number. She's not interested. She keeps walking. It's dark. I'm not going to stop and talk to a strange man on the street. He tries again to get her number. She keeps walking. Now he begins catcalling after her, and again she's ignoring him. So he begins to follow her because he's angry that she's not acknowledging him and his catcalls. He follows her into the parking garage. He approaches her from behind and puts her in a chokehold, where he forces her into her own car, rapes, and then murders a 19-year-old student. I don't understand how we get from can I have your number to murdering someone in the backseat of their car because she ignored your catcalls on the street.
And not just murdering, but raping her. You took something.
You took her body and her life. You took her dignity and respect, and then her life.
Right.
And I don't understand how do we have so much trouble processing rejection that it leads you to be so violent?
That it's sad. It has happened a few times, and that's just one of the many stories that, that's one of the stories that we know about. The
more recent, right?
Yeah, I'm quite sure there are more that we don't know about. Although there's one that I remember in particular with a lady in, I think it was Philadelphia. I just read it, and I remember the story. The man outside of a nightclub killed that girl outside of a bar. He killed her because she rejected him.
Wow.
And he shot and killed that girl. And then I recently read another story. Young lady in Fresno, 18-year-old young lady rejected a guy, and he ended up shooting at her, and the bullet didn't hit her, but it hit her baby.
Wow.
So it's like I'm confused. I'm all over the place with this one because I'm wondering. My mind is going several different places. I'm like, not excusing what they're doing, but what happened to you?
Right.
What happened to you to make you deal with rejection in the way that you deal with rejection? In this way,
right.
Like, why is it so catastrophic to you that you have to take a life as a result? Or has no one ever said no to you and you feel just that entitled?
And I would lean more toward the entitlement. I'm sure something has happened to some people to where they have difficulty processing the rejection. But I think for the most part, it's entitlement. You are angry because this woman didn't acknowledge you. She didn't stop what she was doing to acknowledge your advances. Maybe she wasn't interested. And then sometimes it's not even about me just ignoring you. There have been situations, and a lot of us right here in Memphis have experienced it, where you have a guy trying to approach you and you say, no, thank you, or I'm in a relationship, or I'm not interested. You're not being rude or ugly. You turn him down politely, and he blows up, right? You become everything except a child of God.
Yeah.
And he said, well, forget you. I don't want to talk to you no way. Because he's angry that you rejected him.
Well, see, that, I think when it's to that extreme, I think that's an ego thing.
I agree.
But when you kill somebody, what is that? Because, I mean, whose ego hasn't been hurt by rejection? My own ego's been hurt by rejection, but it's never been hurt to the point of disrespecting anybody.
It's never been hurt to the point of me trying to become
my ego
violent.
has been hurt. It's been I guess it is an ego thing, but it's kind of more of like, okay, that kind of hurt my feelings a little bit. But you know what? It never made me second guess myself, or it never made me so upset or infuriated to the point where I want to do something to you or even call you a name. But it's like, what is got your ego so ripped apart that you feel like you need to do that,
or so inflated?
That's your reaction, or so inflated. You're right, or so inflated that your reaction is to come to bodily harm because you didn't get your way with that person, because you didn't simply get a phone number, or they simply didn't acknowledge your presence the way you feel like they should have acknowledged your presence. Like that because that's the very thing I get from this guy in Chicago. I feel like he was really upset because she didn't even acknowledge his presence.
Maybe that's part of the issue, though. Maybe it was a vibe for her all along. She caught those negative vibes from it. She knew it wasn't just about a phone number.
This is a 19-year-old student leaving a meeting at
night.
So naturally, you wouldn't want to stop.
Right.
And talk to somebody that you don't know. I think that's a natural reaction, whether it's a 19-year-old woman or a 40-year-old woman.
I agree.
If I'm by myself walking to my car at night, I definitely don't want to stop and have a casual conversation with you. I don't know you.
I agree.
So I think that I want to know. I really would like to know what in his mind clicked. Why like you said, why is your ego so inflated? Because you clearly was rejected. You felt rejected, and I don't even think it's a matter of her rejecting you. It's a matter of her thinking about her safety.
Right.
But you felt rejected. So how do you get there? Like,
but how does feeling rejected turn you into a ticking time bomb?
Exactly.
That does not add up. That doesn't make sense to me. Rejection is a natural part of life.
Absolutely.
There are ups, there are downs. How did you get this far in life not learning how to process rejection effectively?
That's my question. What happened to you?
That makes no sense.
Do you think women are inferior? Did you have a point to prove? Like, what? This is where my mind went. Like I went all over the place with it, because I know some guys out there feel like it's definitely an attack on their manhood if a woman rejects them, because a woman is beneath them. So is that the situation? Do you feel like she was so beneath you that how dare she reject you?
But if she was beneath you, why did you approach her in the first place? Because
people that have that sense of, I think people that have that mentality still feel like you owe them something.
I do agree with that. I do. There have been plenty of situations, and I found myself in some of those situations as well, where a man would approach me and they didn't like the fact that I said no, even though I'm never a rude person when it comes to rejecting someone, because rejection is already hard enough to accept. So you don't need to make it worse by being ugly about it. But I'm very polite about it, and I turn people down and say no thank you, or I'm in a relationship, or whatever the reason may be. And all of a sudden you're lashing out at me. You become angry. I've had people yelling and cursing at me because I said no. I had a guy spit at me because I said no.
Wow.
And because he was that infuriated that I did not want to talk to him, that I would not give him my number, I would not give him my time. And I said, no, thank you. It wasn't about, I didn't get rude and call him out of his name. I said no. And it set off a fuse for him.
Wow.
Yeah. And it's been plenty of times where it's happened. I know I'm not the only. It's been plenty of people plenty of women that I know that have dealt with it.
I think every woman has dealt with that at some point. Maybe not to that extreme, but I've dealt with the getting cussed out thing.
Right.
You ain't eating all that no way.
Right. But you took the time to approach me, and now I'm not worth your time.
But because I said no, and I made you feel some kind of way about yourself,
right,
you got to turn around and try to validate yourself by devaluing me.
Right. And there's never any reason why someone should become this violent, especially over rejection. We should all at some point have been taught how to process it. Our jobs as parents, the moms and the dads, is to make sure we're teaching our children how to properly accept and receive the word no when it's appropriate, right? So you're learning all through your childhood how to process your rejection. And our men need to hold each other more accountable. When you see them doing things like this and you say, man, that woman's not interested, don't act like that with her because she doesn't want to talk to you. It's up to us to hold one another accountable. Men, a lot of times when this stuff is happening, you guys are hanging behind, and if you're not laughing, you're silent. Your silence is compliance.
Yeah.
If you are silent about the way he is treating that woman, and you know good and well he has no right to be as angry as he is, your silence is compliance.
This conversation, it keeps me speechless.
It's mind blowing.
It's always been very mind blowing, but now that it's taken this deadly turn where these men out here feel like they have to just put you down completely when you put them down, when they feel like you put them down. I mean, it's definitely something internal. That's definitely
right.
It's internal. It's something going on there, and again, it makes me wonder, like, where's your mind? What's your thought process behind that?
Right, because you chose to end a life over rejection because you couldn't handle the rejection.
Right.
What is it about that? And I'm going to look for some more articles on that to explain. Like, I still believe there is no real reason behind you becoming that violent over rejection in the first place, but I want to look and see if they have any type of psychological explanations behind. I was about to
say, I wonder if anybody's done any scholarly articles.
It's got to be something.
Any journal articles about that.
And if I find it, I'm going to post it, definitely.
I wonder.
I'm going to look for it. I want to know, because there has to be more of a reason behind these people becoming... You become a volcano and erupt at somebody saying no.
You're a straight up time bomb.
That's the simplest word in the English language. No.
I mean, even if a woman cusses you out, that doesn't give you a right to kill her.
I completely agree.
And you, like you said, you learn early on when you're a kid that rejection is a part of life. And honestly, you don't... To me, I guess rejection has taken on such a bad connotation because people look at it in such a negative way.
Right.
But you don't have to take everything as a rejection. Sometimes, I mean, one thing I realized, everything is not for me.
Right.
Everything is not for me. Everybody is not for me. Every situation is not for me. Every job is not for me. I don't see that as rejection. I see that as, okay, something better is coming along.
Right.
I see that as, okay, maybe it's not my time. That's how I look at it. I don't look at, oh my God, this is the end. If I don't get this, I mean, I don't know what I'm going to do.
Right. But see, I don't want to say the word normal. I'm careful with the word normal. I guess I'll try to say average. The average mind doesn't process it that way. I don't think the average man becomes that explosive over the word no. There are a lot of egotistical men, who feel superior.
No, they don't. I've had a guy to approach me and I say, well, when I was married, I'd be like, well, I'm married or I'm taken. And they'd be like, oh, well, you have a good day, love. Things like that.
Right.
So, no, they all don't take it that way. Right. All of them are not explosive. All of them are not disrespectful.
I completely agree. When we started this podcast, I made my Facebook page public. And all of a sudden, I started taking in a lot of friend requests, and a lot of inboxes came with it.
Of course.
And the ones who approached me in a respectful manner, I would reject them in a respectful manner. Those who I didn't like the